This is GCSE Bite-Size Revision, Unit 1, Peace and War, International Relations, Sections 4, 5 and 6. Remember, 1, 2 and 3, don't even go there. Section 6, how did the Cold War end? We're now on to the Collapse of Detente. So, peace is falling apart again. So your memory aid for the Collapse of Detente is brought to you this time by the Cadbury's gorilla. And you'll see why when I explain the mnemonic. So the mnemonic is: Revolution terrifies conservative Afghans using special image of drum kit playing male gorilla, causing Carter to declare, "I'll boycott Olympics, grain and salt too." Now it all makes sense when we go through it. So, as I said, this is the invasion of Afghanistan, and that's what the Collapse of Detente is all about. So it's an event. So what you do with an event, you split it into three: causes, events and effects or results. And that's how we're going to approach the invasion of Afghanistan. So first of all, causes of the invasion of Afghanistan. This links to the part of the mnemonic, revolution terrifies conservative Afghans using special image. Obviously our special image is that of the gorilla. And the first line holds true. There is a revolution and it does terrify the conservative or old-fashioned Afghans. So in 1979 there was a revolution in Kabul, which is the capital of Afghanistan. Afghanistan is pictured on the map to the right. You can see that it is in the Middle East. What you may know about the Middle East is it's near Russia, but it also holds a lot of oil. Now Taraki, who you've just seen appear, is a communist leader and he takes control as president during this revolution, and he promises to build socialism in Afghanistan, and Armin, the head of the army, becomes Taraki's prime minister. Now you must understand that in Kabul they're not just going to accept Taraki as a new leader. They are Muslim. They are used to traditional Islamic rule. They are not going to accept communism and the change that it brings. So, unsurprisingly, the Muslim leaders in Afghanistan do not like this. They want Afghanistan to remain an Islamic state, and there's lots of fighting going on in Afghanistan. So Armin seizes his chance and assassinates Taraki. We think maybe with a pillow, so that's why the pillow has just appeared up there. And he takes control for himself, saying that he wants to continue communism. But Russia, USSR, don't really trust Armin. They don't think he's a good replacement for Taraki because they believe that he's a US spy. So essentially, that's why they invade. Armin, they don't trust him. Looks trustworthy? Well, he's not looking towards Russia, I suppose. Okay, next is the events of the invasion of Afghanistan, and this is the part of the mnemonic which is the drum kit playing male gorilla. So just think of that image and you should remember the events. So first of all, the USSR, as we said, invades to remove that untrustworthy Armin and replace him in December with Karmal, who they think is a more trustworthy communist leader. They do so, Armin is killed. Sounds great, surely the invasion is over. However, don't forget there are still those traditional conservative Afghans who do not want a communist leader running their country. So, fighting goes on between the USSR and Mujahideen guerrillas for 10 long years. Now the fighting that goes on is between a very untrained USSR army versus a very highly skilled Mujahideen, which basically is the old Taliban. And you may know about the Taliban and what they are like. They are prepared to die for their cause, and they really know their terrain. They're very clever. They use tactics which are very hard to detect. A bit of AA star material here. The Mujahideen are supplied with weapons from the USA via something called Operation Cyclone, because the USA don't want Afghanistan to remain communist. So there was the USSR thinking they'd got away with it, and they're having to fight the Mujahideen, who have an amazing supply of weapons coming from the USA. So lastly are the results or the effects of the invasion of Afghanistan, and this is referring to the part of the mnemonic which is causing Carter to declare, "Oil boycott Olympics, grain and salt too." And for some reason in my mind, President Carter has to have a Southwest accent to be able to say that. So, Most of the USSR, remember, are conscripts, and they're forced to join up, and they've got very little training, so they're not very successful in defeating the effective guerrilla army of the Mujahideen. So that is one effect in itself. The USSR army are failing. They are getting humiliated and bankrupted by all the resources that are going into this fight. The next effect is the fact that smiley US President Jimmy Carter makes a speech. He doesn't really look like the kind of person who's going to really start a war, so he talks instead. He makes a speech called the Carter Doctrine. Remember, doctrine literally means a speech or a declaration. And in it, he declares that he would use force to defend against anything affecting the USA in the Persian region. I.e., what he's really saying is, if it becomes a threat, I will protect the oil fields. Remember, in that region of the world, it's rich in oil, which means money and fuel. So Jimmy Carter actually creates a special army to put on standby in this region called the RDF, or the Rapid Deployment Force. That's in purple because it's extra flare points for A or A-star candidates. Also in purple is an extra point, and he strengthens the alliance with China as well, which had also been supplying the Mujahideen with weapons against the Soviets. The Chinese didn't really like the Soviets at this point because they didn't like the kind of communism that the Soviets were using. China was communist, but they didn't agree with how the Soviets were doing it, so they were quite happy to help against them. And the third effect is that Jimmy Carter tries to show that he is serious, because no one believes that smiley face, so he does something more concrete. He boycotts the Olympics in Moscow in 1980. This is quite serious because this means that him and 60 other countries do not participate, which is a load of athletes, and the Games is a bit of a damp squib or a Flosby frop. He stops grain supplies to the USSR. This is also very serious because, as we've said in a previous section, the USSR really depend on this for food. They could starve. And then the thing he does, which really signifies the end of detente, is he refuses to ratify the SALT II treaty. And if you remember, that treaty was all about limiting and banning certain nuclear weapons, which was a real positive step in trying to end nuclear problems between Russia and USA. And Jimmy, not saying it's going to go ahead, has made quite a firm gesture that detente is over. So here is your memory aid again, and you can choose to pause it at this point, see if you can remember what these things mean, or if you feel that you need some kind of recap, then I'm going to allow the Cadbury's Gorilla to give you a memory aid.